Hi, I'm Brandon from Airmax. Today we're repairing an LR25 linear diaphragm pump. We recommend the following maintenance kit to be performed every 6 to 12 months depending on operating depth. The tools we'll be using today to repair this unit are Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a 7mm nut driver, 1/16 inch Allen wrench, and a small pick tool. Included with the maintenance kit are 2 inner diaphragms, 2 diaphragm front boards, 2 diaphragm back boards, 4 protective washers, 2 outer diaphragms. First, flip the compressor upside down. Use a Phillips screwdriver to remove the 4 screws holding down the compressor cover. Save the screws and lock washers. Use a flathead screwdriver to loosen the seal of the gasket on the compressor cover. Gently pull up the bottom of the compressor to separate. Flip the whole unit over and remove the compressor cover and set to the side. Next, pinch the spring clamp to remove the rubber boot attached to the outer diaphragm. Use a Phillips screwdriver to remove the 4 screws holding the outer diaphragm into place. Make sure to keep both the flat washer and the lock washer with each of the 4 screws. It is helpful to use a small pick tool to remove the outer diaphragm. As you can see with this unit, on the inside of the outer diaphragm, the check valve is completely worn. Discard the outer diaphragm. Use a 7mm nut driver to remove the nut on the inner diaphragm. Make sure to keep the nut and 2 washers. Remove and discard the inner diaphragm and old diaphragm front board. Take note of the 2 metal rings. Ensure they are aligned with the holes in the armature. Next, grab a new diaphragm front board. The diaphragm front board is the one with 4 pegs. Apply the protective washer on top of the diaphragm front board. The protective washer is designed to prevent wear to the diaphragm. Grab a new inner diaphragm and align the 4 pegs up with the 4 holes in the inner diaphragm. Align the 2 lines on the front board to be pointed to the notches on the inner diaphragm. Push the front board firmly into place. Make sure the pegs come through evenly on the reverse side of the inner diaphragm. Install the inner diaphragm into the armature with the 2 lines being vertical. Make sure the 2 metal rings are installed between the diaphragm and the armature. Next, install the second protective washer onto the inner diaphragm followed by the diaphragm backboard. The diaphragm backboard should be installed with the flat side facing outwards. Install the flat washer, then the lock washer, and finally the nut. Use the 7mm nut driver to securely tighten the nut. Next, use a Phillips screwdriver to remove the 4 screws on the black top cover plate. Make sure to save the lock washers on the screws. Remove the cover and set to the side. Inspect for any dust or wear on the inside of the unit. Also take note, the armature should be aligned equally between the 2 stators when maintenance is completed. Next, reinstall the outer diaphragm. Align the notch on the outer diaphragm to the notch on the inner diaphragm. Reuse the 4 screws that you removed earlier to secure the outer diaphragm into place. Start with the top 2 screws first. This will help make it easier when installing the bottom 2 screws. Securely tighten all 4 screws by going back and forth with a Phillips screwdriver. This will ensure an even seal around the diaphragm assembly. Finally, reinstall the rubber hose and spring clamp. Now that this side is complete, repeat these steps for the second diaphragm. After installing both diaphragms, ensure the armature is aligned equally between the two stators. If it's not, the inner diaphragms were not installed properly and will need to be reinstalled. Next, reinstall the black diaphragm top plate. Reinstall the 4 screws with washers to the top plate and securely tighten with a Phillips screwdriver. Finally, reinstall the compressor cover. Flip the entire compressor upside down and secure using the 4 screws with washers. Tighten down firmly. Now that you have completed your maintenance kit, this is a great time to replace your air filter. We recommend to do this every 3 to 6 months. Gently remove the compressor top cover plate. Remove the rubber O-ring. Use a Phillips screwdriver to remove the screw holding down the air filter. Remove the old air filter and replace with a new one. Reinstall the screw to hold down the air filter. Reinstall the rubber O-ring so the notches line up. Finally, reinstall the compressor top cover plate.
Hi, this is Brandon from Airmax. We have completed the maintenance on an LR25 linear diaphragm compressor. For more information, contact your local dealer or visit us online at airmaxeco.com.